Hi guys, and welcome to my second build guide for T6 speed farming. This build is Whirlwind based, so it's specific to Diablo patch 2.2. And what we're using here is we're using the 6-piece Immortal Kings with 2-piece Bulkathos weapons. And that gives you a nice movement speed and damage boost. So this is a pretty nice brainless build. What I like about this one is you really don't have to think while you're playing. You know, you could watch TV or do whatever else you want, really, as long as you can see the screen out of the corner of your eye. And the idea is that in this build we can basically whirlwind forever. We're never going to run out of rage. I mean fury. Keep on calling it rage. And I'll show you guys how that's accomplished through the skills. First, let me go through the gear real quick. The Bulkathos weapons, you want them to have as high damage as possible, and preferably to be ancient. If you don't have ancient weapons, I would recommend going for the Raycore build for T6, just because they'll make a big difference. My ancient weapons are sort of crappy. The damage rolls are low, unfortunately, but you know, it is what it is. It's what I got to work with. Gloves, IK gloves, crit chance, crit damage, attack speed. Shoulders can be any shoulders. You could go for Profane Pauldrons for the health globe bonus, and really do whatever you want here. I just crafted this ancient pair, and I'm playing around with area damage. See how that is. You can also put ancients call the ancients damage on this pair of shoulders here as well. Helm, you want crit chance Whirlwind and a life gem, because nothing else really matters. You could do magic find, but it's not going to make much of a difference in T6. Chest, you want Call of the Ancients damage and strength gems. Belt is mainly defensive, unfortunately, so it's not much to be done there. You could do Life per Fury if you find that you're not healing quickly enough. Sort of same things for legs. Boots, you want Whirlwind damage and movement speed, just so you can get the most strength out of your Paragon. Amulet, you want to go strength, crit chance, crit damage. I believe that with two-handers it's better to go for strength than something like physical damage or elemental damage. Not 100% sure, but this particular amulet works well for me because it's got almost perfect strength and really good rolls for the other two as well. Bracers, you want physical damage. And again, try to get as many ancients as possible. The stats don't have to be perfect, but for this, as you can see, I almost have 11,000 strength. For T6, the more DPS you have, the better, because you won't have much of a problem staying alive. And I'm trying out this Convention of the Elements ring here, which gives you a nice boost for to physical for 4 seconds, followed by the other elements. And I think that's really nice, because if you're struggling with a pack, which is rare, but it does happen sometimes if you get the wrong affixes or if, you know, whatever, this is a very nice damage boost. Stone of Jordan, physical, pretty standard, and the gems we're using are important here because we have Mirene, which smites everything with lightning around you, Tagok, which is a stacking damage and armor bonus, and Pain Enhancer, which ramps up your attack speed. I would say that all three of these are important for this build, so you couldn't go with something like Boon of the Hoarder, which is nice for movement speed, but you do get that movement speed through Bulkathos. So essentially what you'll be doing is you'll be whirlwinding the whole time and keeping Wrath of the Berserker up, and it should go off cooldown as long as you just, and you can permanently whirlwind, so it won't be a problem at all. Alright, hope I didn't miss anything, so let's go ahead and go into the skills. Now, you can change this around a little bit, that's perfectly fine. I like this variation because, as I mentioned earlier, you don't have to think. The Raycore one is the bigger thinker. Like, you want to plan your charges and stuff. Here, you just perma whirlwind and GG and collect loot. Call of the Ancients together as one. This divides. It's basically a unity, since we're not using unity, so it divides all your half of your damage among the Ancients. It's nice for toughness because we don't have that much in this build here. So I think this is important. And if you do use Unity, then you could go for the Fire Rune for more damage. But most of your damage is coming from Whirlwind and Mirene. Whirlwind Dust Devils. The reason we go Dust Devils is so they proc Mirene, and you'll see that in the gameplay. Battle Rage Bloodshed could also go for Into the Fray for critical hit chance, but I like Bloodshed. People are saying it's been nerfed, but it still deals out pretty significant AoE damage, and that's what this build is all about. Warcry, Impunity. This one you can swap out with anything else if you want to use a different skill or whatever. This one and Sprint are entirely interchangeable. You can do whatever you want here. I do this just for a little bit extra toughness. It doesn't hurt. Obviously you don't want to be dying in T6. Sprint, Run Like the Wind. Actually, Marathon's good here too. So either one of these, depending on if you want the extra tornado damage or if you want more movement speed. And Wrath of the Berserker Slaughter. Now this rune is important because what it gives you is it gives you a proc on crits to basically give you a second Battle Rage Bloodshed AoE. And this will be able to proc Mirane more often. So if you don't go for this, there's not much reason to go for Mirane as a gem. And what I like about Mirane is it just looks really cool. You're whirlwinding and everything gets hit by lightning. It's just really fun. So I recommend Slaughter here. Insanity is nice for flat damage increase. But this build is really about the synergy with Mirane and the procs. Alright, so for our skills, Weapon Master, this ensures that you get a full tank of Fury, pretty much. Whenever you hit something, since the Bolkatha's weapons are mighty weapons, you get Fury. Rampage is a nice damage increase, and so is Ruthless. But what I think is the biggest, or the most important skill here is Unforgiving. Now some people might disagree with this, because technically it's not needed. This basically ensures that you can whirlwind full time, even if you're not hitting anything. And the nice thing about that is that your Taegeuk will never fall off. Even if you're not hitting any mobs, it will always stay up. And this is why I call this a no-thinker build, because let me just demonstrate real quickly here. You see my Fury tank is barely moving, and even when it goes to 0, you can still whirlwind because you generate enough. So that's why I go for that. You don't have to. You could swap this out for something like Berserker Rage or Brawler if you want to kill stuff faster, but then you got to think a bit more. So that's really up to you. This one's interchangeable, but I like this. I like having this in this particular build. Alright. I hope I didn't miss anything. But yeah, this is a really fun build. You get to keep your Ancients up full time, Wrath up full time, Sprint. I go for this because it gives you more movement speed. And actually I'm gonna sub in Marathon so you can see. And Whirlwind. You do get increased movement speed whenever you whirlwind, and increased attack speed. So combined with the attack speed proc from Pain Enhancer, you really do a lot of damage, even though the numbers aren't that big on your screen. This build, compared to the Raycore build I just talked about, I think it's a little bit slower, but it is fun. So if you play Raycore for Greater Rifts, maybe you'll want to do this for farming, and vice versa. If you do Greater Rifts with Whirlwind, maybe you want to go Raycore for farming. Entirely up to you. So you basically just run around until stuff dies, and it does die very quickly. You can see Mirane, the lightning coming down all over the place. And the cooldown on my Wrath is resetting naturally. I don't even need any other skill to spend my Fury. So the reason we go for the Bolkatha's weapons is the Fury regen. Because if you went with the two-hander, yeah, you'd be doing a little more damage. You could do like a Greater Rift build for T6 as well. But you don't get that much Fury regeneration, and you know, you could be starved. It's not fun. So that's why I really like this build. And the reason it does so much damage is that when there are a lot of mobs around you, your attack speed goes up, your Mirene is proccing, and your Bloodshed also on top of that. So this is really a really good AoE spec. The more mobs, the faster things die, and it's sort of like Raycore, but a little different implementation, I guess. You also get the Pain Enhancer dot. Again, I'm not using my high rank Pain Enhancer in this character, but if there's one mob lagging behind, your dot will probably kill it, so that's nice. What a crappy rift. But as you can see here, I'm not hitting anything, and thanks to Unforgiving, I'm still whirlwinding, still getting the movement speed bonus, and that's what it's all about. Just getting quickly through the rift and killing everything. This is a really bad rift, wow. It's terrible. As you can see here, the single target is decent. I'd say it's comparable to Raycore. And that was that. So if you haven't seen my other video, I did make another video on the Raycore T6 speed farming build. So depending on which playstyle you prefer, you can go with one or the other. One thing I will mention though is neither this build nor the other one are Greater Rift builds. I did throw up a Greater Rift video for a Whirlwind build, and you need to make significant changes in stats and set bonuses, because this one just doesn't have enough toughness. If you go into Greater Rift, you're just going to fall over, unfortunately. And there are ways to make it work with the waste set and stuff like that, but with the IK, it's mainly for T6. Alright guys, thanks for watching. I hope you enjoy that. If you have any questions or comments, ask them below. Give me a like if you like the video, and I'll see you next time. Thanks.